Tabe has just released Arc 9 Chapter 32, and this video will be a summary of the chapter. Highly recommend you check out my Arc 9 Chapter 31 summary. Anyways, let's begin. While Ao and his comrades were being pursued, there were two other battles taking place. The first was Reinhard battling the Witch of Envy. Both were able to end the battle in an instant. Well, if the opponent was anyone else. They were evenly matched, so the conclusion was deferred. The battle would go on for 7 days and nights until the world's collapse. The final battle was with Petra, who was chasing the following star. Petra knew too little about the man called Clind. He was an ally. Petra didn't really know that much more about him. Clind, however, did teach Petra and all of the previous maids before her. Clind taught them about manners and how to be a maid. If anything, he was the progenitor. However, Clind dismissed this, stating that he was only passing on the information that he had learned and carried. He has lived a long time, which allowed him to pass on those skills. He doesn't want any titles. Clind was decisive, just like how Petra was now. If she decided to do something, she would do it. Some people would call that arrogance, but Petra did not care. Petra knew that she had potential, blessed by the heavens with her looks and her magic. As someone with such gifts, she knew that Clind was the same, decisive, aware of his own capabilities. Why she was frustrated was his way of being, acting like he had reached the top. "I'm back, so lend me your power, Clind." The dragon carriage stopped in Merula. No one was in the town. Meili wonders if Ao made them all disappear. The imaginary Subaru says Meili isn't Elsa, and Petra tells Meili to not say anything scary, and tells imaginary Subaru that Meili is now reformed. Petra assumes that they escaped in the night. Clind, however, calls out to Petra, saying that she has insight. He was someone with an aura. Should there be fireworks or at a party, one would surely notice this man. 1 second, downloading Petra's information. This statement was said by Subaru. Clind is thankful he didn't return. Seeing the dark shadows over the horizon, he says he needs to talk to Petra. The scene changes. Clind confirms the situation with Petra, asking how Garfield and Ezo are. Meili says that they're not going to die. Petra had spent some time catching Clind up to speed. Meili also notices that Fang Bro Garfield isn't awake. They reckon that Garfield tanked Volcanica's breath attack to save Ezo, otherwise Ezo would have died. Imaginary Subaru is shocked that the 14-year-old Garfield tanked a dragon's attack. However, Petra tells him that Garfield is now 15, and she is 14. Imaginary Subaru says that she's grown from a cute girl to a beautiful lady. Of course, this was simply Petra's mind, and the imaginary Subaru saying it. Petra says that she is concerned about Ao, saying Clind must have noticed the same thing, hence why he stayed. However, Clind says that he stayed since he had a bad feeling, something he told to Beatrice and Subaru. Imaginary Subaru blames himself for not listening to Clind's warning. Petra tells the imaginary Subaru to be quiet, saying it isn't Subaru's fault. Meili asks Clind what his feelings were, and Clind states that he feels like the entire setup, the entire situation was a bit iffy. Clind says that the personnel sent to the watchtower made sense on paper, but it seems like it was a deliberate intent. If Petra hadn't gone, and Otto, Emilia or Frederica came, would Ao's rampage be stopped? Meili was needed for the sand dunes. Garfield was a fighter. Only Petra was replaceable. Petra was selfish. She wanted to help Subaru, especially since Emilia wasn't present. And it was due to this that she didn't notice the same feelings that Clind had sensed. The imaginary Subaru tells Petra that she's simply overthinking it, but Petra cannot accept that. Imaginary Subaru says it isn't Petra's fault, stating that he doesn't know Al's power, but he knows Reinhard's power. After all, Reinhard is the pinnacle of the world. Subaru says that when he saw Reinhard in the loot house, he knew Reinhard was a monster. The fact that Al survived suggests something more, and Subaru reckons it isn't to do with strength. Petra and Subaru converse, stating that everything is going right for Al, and that luck that keeps working in your favour usually has something behind it. Maylee then asks if Petra is okay because she's sort of spacing out, and Petra says she's fine. Petra tells Clind that Clind's sense of unease is correct, and unless they accept that unease, no one can beat Al. Petra says that only they can stop Al. They have to be the ones to get Subaru and Beatrice back. Subaru crossed his arms, listening to Petra. Petra had read Subaru's Book of the Dead, meaning that maybe Beatrice and Subaru were already dead. However, Subaru possessed a power so painful. Had Subaru truly made it this far without dying? Petra theorized that the book was simply one of Subaru's previous deaths. The imaginary Subaru says that the Sin Archbishops attacked Priestella, the Watchtower, and there was also the incident in Wallachia. He doubts he would have made it through all of those scenarios without any mistakes, meaning he should have died. The dazzling achievements Subaru had achieved turned out to be a nightmarish journey beyond anything Petra could have imagined. She realized why Subaru was simply so shattered by Priscilla's death, and why he did so much to help Aldebaran. Al took Subaru's kindness and betrayed him. If Subaru and Beatrice were dead, even tearing apart Al's mind, soul and body wouldn't be enough for her to get her revenge. Maylee asks Petra if Subaru and Beatrice are alive, and Petra says that they are. Even Maylee cares about them. Subaru had built a good relationship with Maylee. Only you can do it, bold words, Clind says. Clind says that he nearly resigned himself when he saw the witch moving at the corner of the world, telling Petra to keep that spirit burning. However, Petra simply cuts him off, saying that she said "we," which includes Clind. Petra says that she hates how Clind always acts like he's standing outside of the circle. After all, he is one of them. Clind acted the same with everyone, and Petra says that when Amelia is king, that sort of detachment wouldn't be liked. Petra says if he doesn't get involved, then when important things happen, those close to him may turn their back on him. Clind says that he feels her words. However, Clind says that he's already experienced that. Everyone has already turned their backs on him. However, Clind says that he has admiration, saying that once he was empty, but he has since built new relationships with them all. Clind apologizes to Petra, saying that he will cooperate. Petra bowed to Clind, and then asked him to use his tremendous powers to chase Aldebaran. The way to close the gap between them was to use those powers. Clind says that his teleportation is inflexible. Clind says that his power is not teleportation though, but compression. Since it compresses space, it will affect the time it takes to travel. But it affects the structure of the world, meaning it can only be used when Odd Lagna allows it. The imaginary Subaru is confused, and Petra says that Odd Lagna is a source of mana, like an unconscious god. Petra had learned about it from Roswaal, and Roswaal admitted that it was hard to get a complete grasp and understanding of Odd Lagna. She knew it was simply a mass of power, maybe even stronger than the Sword Saint, the Witch of Envy, or even the Divine Dragon. merely asks what happens if you use compression without fooling Odd Lagnar. Clint says he doesn't know, but it's terrifying. Petra says that he has used it before. Petra theorizes to fool Odd Lagnar he needs to offer something in return. Mana, a contract, something worth it. Clint calls Petra smart. In other words, by bribing Odd Lagnar, Clint can use his powers. What an otherworldly god being bribed, Imaginary Subaru says. Petra asks what they can use to bribe Odd Lagnar with, and Clint says, the potential impact on the world and Odd Lagnar, that possibility itself becomes the price. That is the condition for using the authority of the witch factor of melancholy that I possess. With that, the chapter ends. Well, good chapter. Finally, Petra's going to join the fight. But yeah, I literally called it that in the Greediff light novel. It was pretty much hinted at that Roswaal and Clint killed Hector. And this is the confirmation that Clint does in fact have the witch factor of melancholy, and Hector has been killed off screen. So that's really funny. But let me know what you guys think.